What's up, guys? Ryan521, and today I have a very special custom painted LEGO minifigure showcase. And in this one, I'm going to be showcasing my LEGO Blade Runner custom painted minifigures. Blade Runner is one of those films that took me multiple viewings to fully grasp. The first time I saw it, maybe like 2-3 years ago, I didn't get the hype. You know, part of me just I didn't understand it really. I thought it was very boring, very tedious. Second viewing, I respected it more, and I got why people loved it, but I still just did not love it. Third viewing that I did just before 2049 came out, like in anticipation, I watched it, and it's finally the viewing that got me to see why people love this movie so much. Just the themes of humanity, it's way ahead of its time in like its special effects, and it's a very depressing view of the future. With pretty much everybody being poor and just lots of slums and almost like a very like sad dystopian future, very bleak outlook on the future of the world. And 2049 as well. When I went to see it, I loved it. I loved it even more rewatching it the second time during my home viewing that I just did this last weekend. Got the Blu-ray like the day it came out and watched it the weekend, and I immediately loved it like 10 times more than when I saw it in the theaters. Very, very great. Similar themes to the first movie, as well as kind of having a great theme of finding your place in the world and having hope and revolution, rebellion, stuff like that. And just overall, really two fantastic movies, both like huge landmarks in terms of special effects. And just like different concepts and everything. And overall, these are just two fantastic movies, and I wanted to kind of pay tribute to them by doing 5 custom painted figures from the 2 films, 4 from the original, and then 1 from 2049. You can see I have custom spinners in the back. One is Deckard's spinner, and then one is Officer K's spinner. And I will be doing showcase on those builds in a separate video. But for now, let's jump into the figures, starting with Rick Deckard. So first up, we have Rick Deckard, of course, the protagonist of the original Blade Runner film from 1982, Harrison Ford. So if we look at him, you can see he's got like a big brown trench coat on. I mean, he's got like some small pockets on the side there, and whatever this little latching thing that I tried cutting, but it was really annoying to cut, so I just painted it on. Kind of this little W type shape thing, a little M shape. You see he's got a belt with his belt buckle, some black shoes. If we turn to the back, there's really no details on the back of his jacket. His gun doesn't exactly look like the gun he has in the film, but it kind of looked accurate enough, so I just kind of rolled with it. I think it works well for him for now. Maybe I'll get more of a futuristic looking gun to give to him in the future. You can see his torso is it's a very odd shirt that he wears in the movie. It's like a dark blue. You can see it's got like some red stripes and then a little bit of orange detailing between the stripes, and then kind of like a darker burnt orange at the top right here. At least the reference pictures I was using, those are what the colors look like. Maybe I'm off a little bit on some of them, but I think I did. I think I made it look as accurate as possible. You can see he's also got a tan suit jacket kind of on underneath. It's being obscured by the trench coat, but he's got like a tan suit jacket. Also continues onto the top of the torso, like the body. His face is a face from I think it's like a rebel trooper that has like a microphone, and then I erased the microphone and then painted on the lines on the side of his mouth, and that was my best way to recreate the modern Han Solo face that they use in all the sets now, because I only have one of those, and I actually kind of want to keep it on my Han Solo figure. So instead of just ordering another one off of Bricklink, I just decided to kind of make my own custom, similarly looking one using that rebel face. So, and then of course just got plain brown hair, like the generic minifigure hair. But overall, I'm really pleased with this guy. I think he's probably the best of the showcase. And I just really, when I see this figure, I just really think Blade Runner. I think it just kind of looks very similar to the character, and I'm really pleased with how he turned out. Next up, we have Officer K. I keep wanting to say Agent K because I just watched Men in Black 3 the other day. But this is actually the only figure that's... I'm just going to move this Deckard figure. This is actually the only figure that's had any more work done, any modifications done to him since you guys saw that teaser video I did a few weeks ago on, I think, on New Year's Eve. Because rewatching 2049 just this last weekend, I realized that his coat isn't gray, it's actually dark green. and a lot of the details I did on the lapels were just inaccurate, so I just, Friday night, as soon as I was done watching the movie, I just kind of quickly made another coat for him, and I actually think it propels this figure from being an alright figure to probably being one of the best of the showcase, because I really like how it turned out. You can see, like I said, it's this dark green coat. He's got like some black like lines and then creases painted on. You can see like the fur lining right here. Thought about sculpting the fur on, but I just feel like it would stick out too prominently, so I just painted it instead. You can see like this, kind of like this patch that like attaches to the shoulder pad, or whatever you want to call it right here. This attaches to like the shoulder fur lining. It's really weird, the design of his jacket. And then this lapel that kind of just hangs by itself over here. If we go to the back, we can just see more creases, and then kind of the back lining of his jacket. You can see his custom gun I made out of a sawed-off shotgun brick arms piece. I kind of sanded it down and cut different pieces of it to look like the most like his futuristic gun that he has in the film. And then to cover up some of the light gray that was left behind from when I cut it, I just painted little black dots over it. So, I think I'm actually really, from the side profile of it, I think it looks really good. I think it looks a lot like his gun in the movie, and I'm really pleased with how that turned out. His hair is, of course, sculpted. I originally had like the, I don't even know how to describe it, it was the Mutt Williams hair, people call it, on this figure, and that looked alright, but he doesn't really have the locks hanging down, and I didn't want to sand it. So I just decided to kind of sculpt it, and I think it might be a little small. The sculpt may not be super, I could probably extend onto it from like the top, but overall I think it actually really captures the look really well, and I think that face represents Ryan Gosling like perfectly in Lego form. So I'll have to go back and update my Driver figure from Drive and give him this face. And then I just painted the beard on, of course, with the little patch of like a little goatee patch right there. He's got a black t-shirt on with the creases painted underneath. You can see his little skin at the collar right there. Then dark tan legs, black shoes, and yeah, that's pretty much it for Officer K. Ryan Gosling played this character so fantastically. He's getting snubbed at the Oscars this year for sure. He definitely deserved a nomination. Next up, we have Roy Batty, who in my opinion is one of the most compelling movie villains, or movie antagonists, I don't even want to call him a villain, movie antagonists of all time. The thing that Blade Runner does so well, and I think its strongest aspect, is it really, both Deckard and Batty are characters that are so, they're so sympathetic, both of them. You understand why both of them are doing what they're doing. Ford, of course, it's his job. He has to hunt down the replicants. But Batty, of course, he just wants answers to life. He wants, more life. He wants to live more. And he'll kill if he needs to. He's not really a villain. He's an antagonist, but he's not a bad guy. And that's, like I said, one of the strongest aspects of the film. And honestly, what I think makes Roy Batty one of the most, if not the most compelling movie villain I've ever seen, or at least in my personal opinion. You can see he's painted in the outfit he wears during the, well, it's not really an outfit, but he looks like he does during his final Tears in the Rain speech. Of course, spoiler alert, when, he dies. But you can see, of course, he's kind of wearing these black spandex shorts or whatever he was wearing, with a little button at the top of them. You can see his skin, his legs right there. And he's wearing black shoes. You see the back of him. I did some very, very subtle, lines in the back of his torso. They're very hard to see unless they're under light. I probably could have done those with a darker color. Just some really quick, and I mean really quick tattoos done on his arm. I didn't want to spend a bunch of time perfecting the tattoos, so I just did a couple quick lines based on reference pictures, and I just kind of rolled with it. I tried gluing a toothpick that I was going to paint silver onto his hand for when he pulls the nail out and sticks it through his hand, so he can get his blood flowing, kind of get the rage fueling. But of course, gluing, any time you're involving paint and glue and stuff to minifigure hands, it never comes out the way you want it to, at least not for me. His torso was the buff guy torso, which I basically erased all the printing at the bottom and just kind of drew on some lines on his stomach, and then just this belly button. And then, like I said, I really love the way the blood turns out. It looks very, it looks very, liquefied, and very much so like the scene when they're in the rain. You can see the blood on his hand, and then the blood dripping onto his arm as well, with another faded tattoo right there. His face was kind of a typical bad guy face. It's like one of the most generic faces Lego's made, but it's really useful. Which I've then erased the mouth and then kind of repainted it into more of a frown. Painted some cheekbones on. And I probably went a little too overboard with it, but I painted the blood that drips down from his eye in the scene. Or kind of like from his forehead down to like the side of his eye. And then of course, it's hard to tell, but I painted a purple bag, like a black eye around his eye. And then a wrinkle, I think, around this side right here. But yeah, it's very hard to. The blood does go a little down too far. But overall, I think it kind of adds a cooler, more unique look to the figure. So even if it's not entirely accurate, I think it just makes it look cooler. And then of course he does have white hair. So there is Roy Batty. Next up is Rachel. One of the female, like the love interest character of the first movie. I just figured she's not she's not really involved in a lot of the action in the movie, with the exception of killing the one replicant that breaks out at the beginning of the first one, saving Deckard's life. With the exception of killing him, she's never really involved in any of the action of the film, but she's just an important enough character that I felt like I had to make her. Plus the shot of like her holding the cigarette is on like the DVD cover, and it's a really famous shot, and it's kind of just iconic to the movie. So for that reason alone, I actually made the figure, and then I made the cigarette accessory to go with her. Fun fact, that cigarette accessory was actually taken from a Kaiser Soze work-in-progress figure I was working on, but then the Kevin Spacey scandal broke, and I felt guilty working on a Kaiser Soze figure. Same thing with, I've had a figure for a couple months now finished of Frank Underwood from House of Cards that I've yet to show because I'm worried about the Kevin Spacey thing might gain the video some backlash. But anyway, onto the Rachel figure. As you can see, she's got kind of like a dress type thing painted on, or not like a dress, but kind of like some like decorative shirt, vest type thing on. You can see like the kind of the buttons and stuff, and the different lines and of the figure or whatever. Little patches on the side right here. You see the skin kind of goes up from her little neckline right here up to this little, I don't know what you call these, little thing around her neck. It kind of adds more prominence to her shoulders, like the outfit she was wearing in the movie did. See, she's got this little triangular type shape thing with the lines in it painted on her torso. I'm not quite sure what that is. It was just like a decorative thing. The lapels of her shirt. Her hair isn't accurate to the film. I didn't want to sculpt a custom hairpiece for her. I felt like this hair looked eccentric enough to kind of fit Rachel, so I just went with this one. I already showed you her cigarette. And then there's just the back of her torso, just more lines of her back and everything, and then just more lines showing her figure. And overall, yeah, pretty simple figure. Probably the simplest out of all these, with the exception of Roy Batty. Oh, that was a really, I don't know what my voice did there. Yeah, the simplest out of all these, with the exception of Roy Batty, but I think iconic enough of a character to include with this showcase. So there is Rachel. Do you like our owl? And without a doubt, the figure that I've gotten the most praise on ever since I put out that the teaser video. This is Gaff, who's a very minor character, or a supporting character in the original Blade Runner film, and in one scene in 2049. He's a character that I think only has like less than 10 minutes of screen time. But he's played by Edward James Olmos, who's a really famous actor, and he has some really great lines towards the end of the film. And he's just a really interesting character too, so I wanted to make him, because he's just very eccentric. He has very odd outfits too, so I thought it'd be kind of fun to try to replicate that. So starting off with his jacket, as you can see, I painted some weird random details that the character has. It's like this black or this brown belt type thing with some buckles on it. His like deep trench coat pockets. These lines kind of like representing like the leather creasing or whatever on his jacket right here. His hat, in one scene in particular, he wears a, I don't think he wore the hat with this particular outfit, but I kind of just mismatched them. He has a, like a fedora that was like, has like a leopard print with in like a light blue. So I kind of tried to recreate that. I just painted all light blue and then just drew different lines on it with a toothpick, and I think the design came out pretty well. You see the back of his coat. His hair is sculpted. As you can see, I think the sculpt looks pretty good. His face, or actually before I show you his torso, I'll just show you his face, is a from one of the one of the Shanghai goons or whatever from Indiana Jones, who I basically just painted the little goatee on, and then I connected the little handlebar mustache because there's a little gap in between the two, in between the mustache, so I just kind of connected that. I probably should have painted his pupils like yellow or gold or something, kind of similar to his eyes in the movie. That's an idea. But I totally forgot about it, and I'm not going to go back and do it now anyway. So maybe I will in the future, though. You can see his torso. He's got this this like light blue suit jacket thing on. You can see a belt underneath. That's part of the figure printing. And then like a dark blue vest with dots or stripes on it or whatever. Or no, those are dots. My bad. And then a bow tie with some like a little button-up white shirt underneath. Black shoes, and then I sculpted a little thing of origami for him, like some little origami, just whatever animal, maybe like a unicorn, kind of referencing the end of the movie. Those of you that have seen the movie know what I'm talking about with the origami unicorn. But yeah, he's one of his character traits is he's always kind of fiddling with paper and always making these little origami creatures and then leaving them at different locations. So yeah, so I just kind of sculpted. I went through 2 different sculpts for that. The first one I tried to put more detail in, and it just looked like garbage. So I just figured, screw it, I'm just going to go extremely simplistic. And I went with this one, and I'm actually really happy I did it like this, because this one is like perfect size too. I'm really happy with how this little origami creature thing, this little unicorn thing turned out. So there is Gaff. Too bad she won't live. But then again, who does? So there you go, guys. There are my custom painted Blade Runner figures. Hope you liked them. As for a favorite of mine, I'm pretty fond of, I think Deckard turned out I really like the colors on his torso. As well as I like the bloodstains on Roy Batty. The jacket on Officer K is pretty cool too. I like them all for different reasons. I think they're all great figures. This is a smaller showcase than usual, which lets me focus more on the details of them. So for that reason, I think they turn out really cool. Like I said, stay tuned for the video on the 2 spinners that I'll be doing soon. I'll probably just probably showcase those in one combined video because they're both pretty small mocks. And until next time, guys, thank you so much for watching. Stay tuned for my next video. Peace out.